The leader of the Booner Path. I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff Iafrate and Booner. It is Tuesday, February 3rd. We are back to break down not only what the Pistons did today, but we're going to talk some Detroit Lions NFL draft. Flannel Sam joining the show as well, which I actually have to get that link to Flannel. I just realized that. Shout out Flannel. But we got a good show planned today. Great show. No more Ivy, RIP.
Yeah, no, it should be a fun show. Good conversations here about Jaden Ivey. You said RIP. I mean, the guy is getting he's going to be happy again. I don't think people realized, and everyone that's like complaining about the Ivy stuff or mad about the trade. I mean, this guy Ivy, I've said it a million times. Jaden Ivey hasn't smiled in 14 months. I haven't seen Jaden Ivey laugh or smile on a basketball court in 14 months. So they could have traded him for anything, and I'd have been like, okay, we got like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. That's how I felt. I was like, oh, the guy could finally go somewhere and actually like smile on the basketball court and have fun again. That's how I looked at it. The man was just like, you could just tell he just did not want to be playing basketball in Detroit. And I don't know why people still were like to the very end defending him, being like, keep him. We want him. Like, it was such a dead situation.
This is where I'm my takeaway from today when it comes to the trade deadline. Number one, I don't think the Pistons are done yet. That's obvious. They're still going to make another move. They have to. They're over the roster limit, and they have contracts they could still move around. So I don't think they're done. That's A. B, I thought it was funny of the Jaden Ivey commentary today because, you know, I've been pro Ivy for a while. Clearly after the injury, just didn't look like the player that you thought he would look like, at least fitting in with a team that's winning so many games. He just couldn't quite find a role on this team. They were winning so much without him, and for him to kind of come back, he couldn't find a role. He didn't look like himself.
Yeah.
And it was better for both sides, to your point. It was better for Ivy to get a fresh start somewhere where he can grow into the player that I still think he can be, even after post-injury. And the Pistons need to move on because they have guys that can contribute right now. They fit in the system they want to run. Guys that can space the floor. Kevin Huerter, like, we'll bring up some of the players they got. I think it's a better fit. We talk about the shooting. But the thing I thought was interesting and hilarious is all the Pistons fans.
Real quick, just breaking news. James Harden got traded to the Cavaliers.
For what?
For Darius Garland in a second-round pick. Massive trade. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I know we're talking. I think it's very relevant news in the East today. The Celtics traded for was it Vucevic, and now the Cavs just loaded up with James Harden. Like the East, hey, Trayshawn Langdon, bunker down, we'll get someone.
Because I want to.
You know what I'm saying? Like that trade right there. When I just saw that hit my phone, that to me. I know it's like a different team, but like that's in the East. That's noteworthy of being like, wait a second. The Cavs just got James. People don't think James Harden's good anymore. The man is averaging 25 and like 9, and he just got it added to a team that in your division. Like that's a massive move. That's scary.
I think. Listen, the Ivy. Nothing's official as of right now, like Xavier said. So the trade isn't finalized. So we have to wait and see what happens. I don't think they're done. But like I was saying, it's funny how Pistons fans. There's a large portion of them that were anti-Ivy, and then he gets traded, and his value is shown right to your faces, all the people's faces, and people are upset that he was traded, or at least the return he got. I think the return, to me, indicates what his value was. Like, it was reported the Pistons were calling for weeks prior to the deadline, getting a feeler out there for Ivy. They were doing their due diligence on Ivy, and they traded him for what they traded him for. If anything, it tells me that his value has decreased significantly after a major injury, and he just hasn't quite looked like himself. And not only that, he is going to have to get paid soon. So if a team's trading for him, you have to learn, A, can he be the player he once was? And B, are we going to pay him? So I think people, in my opinion, were overreacting on the trade itself. I think, people saying you should have went for like he was going to be used. I mean, we talked about it, but even we were wrong. He was never going to be thrown in some Giannis deal or, even for some of these bigger pieces that we were talking about, Michael Porter Jr. They're not trading. You're not, unless you're adding a bunch on top of it. He doesn't have that value clearly. So I just wanted to make sure I made that point early in the show. Like, if this trade told us anything, it's the reality of what Ivey's value was. Yep. That's it right there. Like Darius Garland just got traded you mentioned for James Harden. Darius Garland is a 20-point per game guy. You know what I'm saying? And they threw in a second for James Harden. Is that what you said?
It was a second round pick as well. Yeah.
Like Ivey is not like, dude, he's averaging like 8 points.
No.
Like he's not.
And I think the argument with this whole trade too, and this is where I think a lot of people get a little like discombobulated with it, is a lot of people were expecting to get maybe a little bit of a haul for Jaden Ivey, right? Like I think that's what a lot of people thought, that he was good enough. And to your point, like you said, like, hey, the trade actually happens, and you're like, wait a second, maybe he wasn't worth what everyone thought he was. And I'll say this too, Jeff, like for people who are like, well, it's like Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric in a first round swap, you essentially got nothing to feel like. Dude, is Jaden Ivey better than Kevin Huerter when fully healthy and in a good position, good spot? Probably. Like, right? Like Jaden Ivey might be, more skilled and be a better, player as a whole.
Yeah.
Fit wise though, like I think that's where people fail to realize a little bit. It's like, hey, sometimes a guy just doesn't fit, and there comes a time where it's like you're past the point where you have to move on. And if you watch, like I think a lot of people maybe didn't watch the Pistons. The last 3 or 4 Pistons games that I watched with Jaden Ivey, he had moments, but he's shooting 6 or 7 shots a game. You could tell, like there was a game, maybe it was it was either the last game or the game before. I think they went to overtime, or it was the fourth quarter. Jaden Ivey just didn't touch the floor. They just did not touch the floor. There was no minutes for him. And it wasn't like, oh, they're losing. Why isn't Jaden Ivey playing? No, they're winning games. And there's just moments and big moments where he just doesn't see the floor. And at that point, you want to look at it and be like, all right, what's Jaden Ivey's game? His game is probably going out there to average 15 for a team that needs a number 2 scorer or needs a guy like him, right? Where this Pistons team, they have their roster. You saw it last year without Jaden Ivey. You need just to probably find a guy that meshes more within this rotation. And yeah, Kevin Huerter shoots right now worse 3-point percentage than Jaden Ivey. Yes, but like, can he shoot? Yeah, he shot 37% last year with the Bulls.
Well,
when he
look
got
at his
traded.
last 5 years.
Yeah, like he shoots 35+%, and it's like it's really more so. I think people need to realize about fit on this team. And there's even a chance too with Huerter, where Huerter might not even be on the roster coming the next 48 hours, to where there's one more trade that happens. And maybe, I don't know if Jeff, I don't know, I could be wrong. Can a guy get traded back to back in the trade deadline? Is there rules beyond that?
So there are rules. Kevin Huerter can't be. He's on the roster.
He can be?
No, he can't. He won't be traded.
Okay, because the thing that I saw someone tweet out, currently right now the Pistons are one guy over on the roster. Danis Jenkins, obviously they might have to turn it. His two-way stuff's going to run out soon, so you might have to convert him over to a full-time roster spot. So you're almost a guy or two over your roster limit. So they, from what I've read, this is what I've read. They need to make another move, or they're going to have to let someone go, like, or buy out or something. So there's going to be,
it could be,
yeah. So there's going to have to be another move that is made. And everyone's kind of sitting on the edge of their seat, just kind of waiting. And maybe this trade, and that's why I said with Kevin Huerter, maybe this trade set up, whether it's Kevin Huerter that gets moved again if he's able to, but if not, someone else, like you said, a Karis LeVert to get moved, Kevin Huerter fills into that role, and then you also bring in a Michael Porter or a different player, and you know now you're using Kevin Huerter as a replacement for someone else that you're moving on with. So you just have to kind of wait and see. But like, dude, yes, can Ivey average 15 points a game in the NBA? Yeah, he can. He's shown it before. On this team, there wasn't a fit for it. And I think it was very, very well known. And if you watch this Pistons game more than 3 times this year, I think everyone could see it. And you could see, again, the body language and everything. It just wasn't there. Like, you see these guys celebrating and jumping up and down, and then they pan to the bench, and Jaden Ivey's sitting down, like, it looks like sad, while everyone's jumping around with towels and stuff. And it's like, hey, man, like, he knows it. We know it. Fans should have known it. And I'm going to be shocked. And I actually saw this, Jeff. Like, there were people who were mad about the return that Trajan got. And it's like, how are you mad? Like,
I think that's a majority of where people are upset. Not that he got traded.
I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to be upset with that. Now, if you're mad that you didn't go out and maybe acquire a bigger piece and trade more guy, okay, that's fine. I think Trajan got what he could have got for Jaden Ivey. Straight up. I don't think he could have got more. Like, that's why I don't understand when people are mad about. Like, if Trajan could have gotten more, you don't think Trajan Langdon would have gotten more? That was obviously the only market that was available for Jaden Ivey.
Weeks, Booner. They were calling for weeks. You don't think Trajan heard a bunch of great offers and just said, I'm going to go with this one? Like, I really believe they called for weeks. Like, it was reported, and this was the deal that Trajan felt was the best deal. Like, you get expiring contracts, you get Ivy in a new situation, and they got players, like you said, that fit what they want to do better. Your two best players are Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren.
Yep.
Those two are going to run pick and roll. What do you need? You need spacing. And guys like Jaden Ivey, although he has a good three-point percentage, he's not a catch-and-shoot guy that's going to provide spacing for what they want to do. Like Duncan Robinson can do that, but we talked about this. Like, if the Pistons want to go where they want to go, you need more than just one guy who can spot up and shoot. Because look at the starting lineup. Asar Thompson can't do it. Jalen Duren can't do it. Duncan Robinson can do it. Tobias Harris, he's capable. But to have another guy who can come in, if Duncan's off the floor, that can be like Kevin Huerter, who can get streaky and he's for a career is like a 37% 3-point shooter. Like, yeah, I think it's a better fit. I'm with you though. If you have an issue with you want a bigger move, okay, I can have that discussion. I'm not going to have the bigger return for Ivy discussion because I just don't think that was ever going to happen. I think
he did what he could, honestly.
He's coming off a major injury. He's a player that's, a lot of his game is he's skilled, but he's athletic. He's an athletic freak. And I just don't think he has looked as explosive post-injury. So I think that was definitely a concern as well. Like, the Bulls are going to take a chance because they need a star player. They just need more guys that can be, good players. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I didn't have an issue with it.
I do think too, like Ivy wants to be a guy that's averaging fit. Like, the reason he's probably so upset and so mad, and you could tell that there's something going on. I think that's because he wants to be a guy that can get 10 to 15 shots a game.
25-30 minutes a game.
Yeah. And the good thing about Kevin Huerter doesn't care. Like, if you tell Kevin Huerter, hey, you're getting 10 minutes tonight, he's going to give you the best 10 minutes he can. Hey, you're playing 25 tonight, he's going to be ready to play 25. That's the difference between, you know what I mean, a Kevin Huerter and a Jaden Ivey. Is Jaden Ivey has averaged 15 and wants to go out there and do that. Kevin Huerter's okay with being that role player off the bench. And I think that's where you have to kind of take take it with a grain of salt and be like, okay, yeah, this is fine. You're not really losing much. And like, yeah, it sucks. Like Totoro 26, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. He said, wasn't Ivy a high lottery pick? He was a 5th round pick fifth overall pick. So it sucks. Yeah. Like, it didn't work out. I think that's one of the more disappointing parts, Jeff. It's just like the career, I think, path of Ivy, a lot of us thought would be a little bit different. And a lot of things just didn't work out. You know what I mean? He got injured. He didn't mesh well with this new team when they kind of took a step forward. And it's kind of what's that book? The Series of Unfortunate Events. Like, that's what it was like for Jaden Ivey in Detroit. It would have been awesome if it worked out because he is talented. Sadly, it's just one of those things in sports, and especially in professional sports. It's just, hey man, didn't work out this time.
Now, like, let's bring this up. Like, Mr. Ray, shout out Mr. Ray. Usually me and him are in lockstep with a lot of things. He says good players like Kevin Huerter, 31% 3-point shooter this season, and the corpse of Dario Saric, and a protected first-round pick swap. I hope this isn't the only move Trajan plans this trade deadline. Second part of that, I agree with. I hope that's not the only move. I agree, because you see teams around the East trying to improve. The Pistons clearly they're the number one team in the East. So other teams need to improve to try and catch the Pistons. But when it comes to making a move where, you're trying to get an MPJ, or I agree. I want Michael Porter Jr. Don't get me wrong. I want Michael Porter Jr. I think he's the type of player this team needs. Okay. I agree with that wholeheartedly. A 20+ point per game guy who can stretch the floor and basically just get a bucket when you need him to. That's what they need in the postseason. I agree with that. But Kevin Huerter, 31% 3-point shooter this season, that's a fact. You know what else is a fact? Every single year besides this year, he's been a very good 3-point shooter. He had one season with the Kings where he shot 30% in 45 games. But when you look at, he's been in the league for what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons, 9 seasons. He's a 37.1% 3-point shooter for a career on almost 6 attempts. Like, he's averaged double-digit points in every year but 3. Like, he's not a terrible player. Like, I think if you're in a situation like he will be in Detroit, where you're going to get a lot of open looks, guys trying to double Cade, double Duren, he's going to knock down a lot of threes here. Like,
I think it's a really point blank, or like just an outside perspective. If you just looked right at the 3-point percentage of this year and be like, bad trade, like he's not good, 31%. And I think that's just like an easy out, which it's like realistically, if you've seen Kevin Huerter play, he's a really good role guy that, you put him around a Cade Cunningham and a Jalen Duren and a Tobias Harris, and you're adding another kind of a guy who can shoot the ball, and you put him in a good position and he'll thrive in it. And you've seen that in moments like when he was in Atlanta for a little bit with Trae Young. He had years where he looked good and he averaged, 14, 15 points per game. Like you did see that. So I don't think it's a guy, like if you look at it just statistically wise, if you want to box score watch and go look at the stats and be like, nope, not good. Like, no, Kevin Huerter can play. Like, you put him in a really good position. He's not a bum. Like he's not at all. And again, I think the biggest thing people need to realize is you're replacing a guy who, it felt like, again, Jeff, you could tell me if I'm wrong with this. It felt like Jaden Ivey did not want to play in Detroit any longer. Like,
no, I agree.
If you turn the game on and watched it, you had a guy playing 15 minutes a game for you who did not crack a smile and did not look excited to put the Pistons uniform on any longer. Whether he did or not, whether he can come out and be like, I did, but like, did you show the emotion and show for it? Like, this team was, high energy team, and this Pistons team, it's like, man, and it's like, even like tonight, like, did you really need Jaden Ivey? You're up by 20 points versus the Nuggets with Jokic right now. And I'm not saying that you didn't need him, but I'm just saying, like, now you're adding a team to this, a Kevin Huerter who hopefully gets that little revitalized there, and a guy that's bought in at playing a role, to where it felt like Jaden Ivey just wasn't bought in at playing a role. So at least you get something for a guy that probably you weren't going to re-sign anyways.
Yeah, like Duncan had a year in his career. This was 2022, 2023 with the Heat, where he shot 32% from 3.
Yeah.
Like, in 45 games, dude, like, are we going to say that he can't shoot all of a sudden? Or at the time where people are going to say he can't shoot all the – no, after that, he was fine. Like, I'm not worried about Kevin Huerter. Like, he's gonna be fine. He's going to have more open looks here, and I promise you, defenses, if you see Kevin Huerter open in the corner, I promise you they're not going to be like, well, he hasn't really shot the 3 ball this year. Or if they're doing scouting report, what are they going to do, Booner? You've done a ton of scouting reports. What are you looking at Kevin Huerter and saying? Can't leave that guy open.
Yeah. I mean, his best years and the best teams that he's played on, he shot 38 or 39% his last year in Atlanta. He shot 40%, shooting 7 threes a game his first year.
Who was he playing with?
Trae Young, a great, I would say great, but a really good, point guard who drew a lot of attention. John Collins, who drew a lot of attention. That team was, a playoff team at that moment, and he contributed to a playoff team. Same in Sacramento, mind you, when he left Sacramento, that the year that they were good, in 23-24, which I believe, Jeff, I could be wrong, in 22, 23, 23, 24, was that when the Kings went on their run to go to the playoffs?
What year was that?
2 years ago.
I'm not sure.
I think it was two seasons ago. He shot 40% his first year in Sacramento, and then shot 36% his next year in Sacramento. And I believe that was the year that they were good, in 23-24. So listen, you put him in a good position. And again, it's easy to kind of just box score watch with Kevin Huerter. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he's great. But I mean, he wasn't on the best situation in Chicago.
He's a good role player. I mean, that's what they need.
Yeah.
They have guys.
That's already. What you've needed. You've needed more guys to be that role.
Yeah, you need guys, good role players that can help you give spacing to what you already have. And on top of, like, guys, and we'll get into it because I want to have that discussion, because also to throw in there, they got like a pick swap, it's nothing. I mean, the Timberwolves are going to get their pick, but it's like, okay. Like,
that I don't even understand. They could have just probably left that out.
Yeah, it basically just means you're going to have the Timberwolves pick, which is going to be higher, but it's,
But what are you going to move up like 3 spots?
Yeah, it just depends on what I mean, it depends where everything kind of lines up, I guess. I mean, like right now, the Timberwolves are 31-20, so it's not like, I mean, yeah, it depends on what they do. But if you want to have the discussion like Trey Murphy or Michael Porter Jr., I'm all with you. I'm with you. I've said it before. I said it before this deadline, and I know we have a couple days, but I've been saying it leading up to the deadline that I don't think the Pistons will win as currently constructed. I think they need one more guy, a bigger piece, and you agree with me on that. Like they need a Michael Porter Jr., they need a Trey Murphy, they need someone that can go get a bucket when they need them to. And I people are going to argue, well, Jaden Ivey didn't get the opportunity. He could be that guy. Listen, man, they need a guy who's a solidified shot creator and shot maker. And those guys are hard to get in the NBA. I mean, obviously they're very hard to get, but that's what the Cavs just did. They just got Harden. Harden is going to make everyone else running better. And guess what? Go get a shot in the playoffs, even though he's been known as a choker in his career. But he can do that. They need like a Michael Porter Jr. can do that. A Trey Murphy can do that. So I still believe they need to make another move, but this move I don't necessarily hate. The good news is you haven't seen either of those guys get traded yet. So that's the good news in this whole thing. So they're still again, the trade isn't finalized. So I think Trajan Langdon's still going to be working there with those two players. At least I hope. I don't know what's going to happen. I do know this. The Celtics and Cavs did get better. No doubt. And the Cavs, say what you want. Harden with Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and company. Like Donovan Mitchell can take over at a playoff game, and James Harden is a guy who has a ton of experience. So that team just got better. And then you look at the Celtics, like Vucevic. I know he's older, but he's a vet. He can space the floor. They're trying to bring in like an Al Horford. That's kind of like what they're trying to bring in, like that type of player. And I think Vooch can do that. So those two teams did get better. The East has been bad this year, but today the East got better with those moves. I will not.
They did. They really did.
I'm not going to sit here and act like they didn't get better. So Mr. Ray says we need a secondary shot creation more than anything, and we will see it become a major issue in the playoffs. Relying on Cade and Duren to shoulder 80% of the half-court offense is not it, folks. I agree with that. See, now we're coming to it. Maybe I disagree with the point about the Ivy trade and what they got, but I do agree with that. They need someone else who can go get a bucket. I do agree with that. Austin says, I think we've had to give up more than what they want for MPJ as much as I want it to happen. I don't know if they get that done unless they say F those picks. You're going to have to trade picks to get those guys. I mean, that comes with the territory. So I have no issue with that. Michael Porter Jr., I think, has a year left on his contract after this year. So I wouldn't mind it. Listen, I think you have your core. You're going to extend Duren. You got Cade. You got Asar. You drafted Ron. They're going to have to trade Tobias. I expect him probably to be moved. But I don't mind that, man. Trade those picks away, dude. Yeah,
that's what I do. I've been on there for a couple months now. It's just, I don't care how many. A lot of people are talking about, oh, well, we don't want to lose all our first round. Dude, I don't care how many first round picks you lose. I saw it like on ESPN in the last couple of days, where people are like, hey, like it's starting. There's starting to become a thought around that. Hey, this Pistons team, like I said last week, Jeff, to you, like it feels like that this Pistons team can win a championship with even their current roster and go on a run to where if you do kind of like it is that point, dude, where you can go all in. Like a lot of teams do that. And who was it? Was it JB recently? I think it might have been him in a press conference recently that had mentioned about how open every year. Like if you look at every year in the NBA, there's been a new champion for the last few years. And it's because some teams, when they get to that point, if you go all in, anyone can win it. And I think the Pistons are at that point to where, man, you could just go all in and try and win this thing. And I think that's in the next 48 hours, man. I know a lot of not even just Lion, like because Lions fans get it from Brad Holmes, and I think a lot of people with the Scott Harris stuff, and then obviously Steve Eisenman not making the moves. Everyone's like, man, what's up with these GMs in Detroit just being like, we're good, like we can just stay still and not make any of those moves. I think the Pistons, and if I'm Trajan, man, I'm actually like really, if I'm him, I know that the reports today came out One of the beat writers from The Athletic, I think it was the Pistons beat writer, Jeff. I don't know if I cannot remember his name. He's newer on the beat this year, but he had reported that he has heard that they're not going to make a big move or a big splash. Like they've called around, but it doesn't seem they're going to make a big splash. I think they need to, man. I really think you do. Like, again, I think you can win with what you have, but it's a harder hill to climb than if you go out and get a Michael Porter Jr. or if you go out like Michael Porter's won a championship. He knows what it takes.
Dude, by the way, won a championship. This is the context I want to make sure people understand. As a third option. Like, yeah, that's where we're at. Like you need, like, look at the NBA champions, man. Like the Thunder's they're the only team as of recently that you can really say, like, you know, they're homegrown, and on top of that, they play great collective basketball and they won. Like the Celtics, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Nuggets. You had Jokic, one of the best players. He's a Hall of Famer, obviously, but on top of that, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon. The Warriors, the Bucks, the Lakers, the Raptors, another team. They had Kawhi Leonard. That was kind of the Kawhi, but then they had the whole Warriors fall apart in the NBA Finals. And then the Warriors, and then Cleveland. Like, you need star power, dude. Like, you need more. It's a fact. Like, you need more star power. You just do. Like, I'm sorry, and I love the Pistons. I do. We're Pistons fans at heart. It's how I launched my career, talking Pistons. I mean, that's how I got started at Woodward. I can't look at this team and say, yeah, Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren are going to lead you to a championship. They need one more. They need another guy. They need. I think
they can if they're in the right position and they play good enough. But I think it takes a lot more and it's harder to do it. Like, I think it's a stretch.
The room for error is incredible. Like it's much tougher. Much tougher. If Langdon doesn't make a move, I'm not saying. Remember, we had this discussion yesterday. Like, I'm not asking for Langdon to be reckless. There's a difference, like the make a move slappy thing we talked about yesterday. I'm not trying to say be reckless and be an idiot, or there's got to be a move. If there's a move to make, I mean, there's someone out there, whether you're not willing to pay the price or not. We don't know all the negotiations, but there's Michael Porter Jr., Trey Murphy. Go get a third guy, dude, or a second guy. Go get somebody. They need more star power. That's just how it is. Like,
I do believe Trey John's going to make a move too. By the way,
I hope so. I really do, man. Because you get a playoff series like the Cavs. Like, okay, you have Harden and Donovan Mitchell. Those two are going to average 25 a game. Okay, or at least Harden's going to give you like 20 and like 10, and then you have Evan Mobley. He's going to give you 17. Like, that's like three guys that are going to play really well in a playoff series. Okay, and they can defend with those guys on the interior. Okay, that's my point. Is like, I get that, like, the record looks really good now, but once you get into playoffs, like, you need more guys that can go get a bucket. They just do. They need more guys that can get a bucket.
I agree. So even versus the Celtics, man, like the Celtics getting Vucevic, and as well as too is that Jason Tatum potentially could return for the playoffs. Like if he gets back, and then you're sitting there and you're going like that's a tough matchup as well. Even with Jaylen Brown and Vucevic, like, dude, we watched Jaylen Brown. I think we were at the game, one of the games with Did we see? We saw Jaylen Brown play this year, I believe.
Yeah, he dropped like 40.
Yeah, like it's just one of those things where it's like you want to be ready. And I again, JB did a post game press conference this year where he was like, when you can go all in, you should go all in, essentially, because that's right now every year there's a new champion, and when you have that opportunity, man, you have to take full advantage of it. And it feels like the Pistons are in that moment right now. They are. They truly are. And again, Jeff, they're not in one of those spots to where if they make a major trade, they lose everything. You know what I mean? Like, they still have a lot of these young guys in contracts. You lose potentially a Tobias. It kind of does stink a little bit that Jaden Ivey could have probably been a part of a bigger package. So you do question that a little bit. So you would kind of wonder if they're going to trade someone else or who else would be included in that. But that move has to come. And I see a lot of people in the chat being like, there's going to be another move. I think it would be disappointed if there's not.
I agree with Coach on this. There's no way they settle if you have Boston and Cleveland. Like, Boston, they don't even know who's playing center from. They had Luka Garza coming off the bench and playing some center.
Now they have Vucevic.
Now they have Vucevic.
20-10 guy.
Him back. By the way, we didn't even bring up Derek White, who I love. Derek White, one of my favorite role players in the entire NBA. I mean, Derek White's a 17-point per game guy. Oh, yeah, yep. And they have Sixth Man of the Year, Peyton Pritchard. Like they have guys on top of Jason or Jaylen Brown or even Vooch as, like, he's contributing in the way he's going to contribute. I know he's older, but Like, you need more, man. Like, the Pistons, I'm not trying to say they're not a good team. I'm just trying to look at this thing, how it's going to translate. Like, Cade's going to be Cade. Duren's going to be great. But, like, after that, it's like, who's showing up come playoff time? I know defensively they will. Like, you know, they're always going to have effort. But, like, are you going to count on Asar Thompson to be efficient in the playoffs? He can't shoot the ball as it is. Like Tobias Harris, good role player. Like, Tobias at this point in time will give you 14 a game, you know?
Yep.
But they need more, dude. Like, Duncan, what happens if Duncan has a cold game? It's like, who's stepping up? You know, that's why I do like Kevin Huerter, but yeah, I just don't see if they don't, to me, that's Trajan Langdon. Now we can have a different discussion. So far, I don't mind the trade, but now we can have that discussion of like, okay, you might have just fumbled that opportunity in a wide open Eastern Conference. Now, not as much, obviously, with teams getting better, but it's still, I mean, still pretty wide open. You're number one in the East. So I would agree. I would agree with that. And even Mr. Ray Vooch, who's a legit 18 to 20 point per game scorer as a starter. Yep. I agree. I think they'll probably end up trying to trade LeVert, Karras, LeVert, and then you throw in like Tobias Harris to match a contract. Maybe you throw in two first round picks, something like that. And maybe like I don't know. I don't know what the deal would look like because Michael Porter Jr. is not going to be a cheap player, obviously. But man, Trajan Langdon, I'll tell you this, he'll get a lot of respect in this city. After all the, like you mentioned, the Tigers, the Lions, like even Stevie Y at times, even though the Red Wings are actually, I shout out to the Red Wings, but the lack of urgency with some of these GMs, like Trajan will get a lot of praise if he makes that type of deal.
I think it would change a lot, man. I think it would and honestly, I do think the world, sorry too, guys, the Pro Bowl is on and Lions are dominating in the Pro Bowl. So I was just trying to post some.
Someone said earlier, I want to make sure I bring this comment up because, it's relevant to the show. Not what we're talking about, but me, I guess. He said, Simo said Shaduki threw a pick six in a flag football game.
Probably did, to be honest, dude.
Shaduki threw a pick six?
Yeah, Shador, if you were wondering what that was. But Amon Ra, by the way, just dominating. He opened up the game with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion from Dak instantly. So I was trying to get that up. So I apologize. I'm still trying to cut it up over here.
Mark Royal says MPJ not coming to Detroit.
Listen, I will say this, Jeff. This was what I was going to say before. I think that if Trajan Langdon wasn't planning on making a big move before, I think after not seeing Vucevic's trade today and as well as the James Harden trade go through in the last 30 minutes, I think Trajan might have a little bit more of a, okay, hold on a sec. Like, we do have to make a move. That's why I asked you, can Huerter be moved again? Are we sure he can't be? We've seen guys get moved once or twice in 24 hours.
From what I've gathered, based on, I think Koo said this, and I've seen other guys say this on X, Kevin Huerter can't be moved. I don't know the specific reason. I don't think he's the one that can be moved. I think Saric can be moved.
Why can one and not?
And I don't know, but I just know that's what they were saying. So I would just trust the reporting on that. I don't know. I can look into it though. Let me see. It also says if you look it up, it says he can be traded again. So I don't know.
Because we've definitely seen guys get traded multiple times in a 48-hour span.
It says here. What does it say? Yeah, then there's people saying they can't trade him again. I don't know what the truth is, but there could be a world, Jeff, where Trajan didn't think many teams were going to make big moves like the James Harden and the Vucevic trade, and then he's like, "We'll just roll with what we have." And then hindsight, he looks back and goes, "Oh, maybe we should have thrown Jaden Ivey in a package to go get a bigger player." After seeing what just took place. If they absorbed it through their trading exception, then they can't. I don't know. There's so many specifics into it. I don't know. I don't really know.
People are saying they can move it before the trade is finalized. Yeah, I'm interested to see if that's something.
Yeah, like even Mark Royal, they can't be moved for salary matching. See that? I don't know. Shout out to Adam.
It's just shout out Adam. Oh, I love Adam, dude. One of the funniest texts I've ever received in my life was from Adam Bay doing this earlier or last week, dude. One of the funniest all-time texts I've ever received in my life. Jeff, you're laughing because you know what it was.
Sick son of a bitch, man.
He is, man. But the thing is, it's just if there's a world, I'll tell you what. If there's a world that they moved Jaden Ivey, thinking that no one else in the East was going to make a move like the two that just happened post Herter deal and Jaden Ivey deal, then Trajan messed up big time. Because if Trajan was just like, and the problem is with the deal like that, Jeff, is he did it 2 days before the deadline, to where you didn't wait to see what other teams did. You were the one that pulled the trigger first in the East. Like the East was sitting there waiting, being like, okay, the East is up for grabs. Who can win the East? All right. Teams, obviously the Cavs feel like they can make a push for it. The Celtics feel like they can make a push for it. The Pistons should also feel the same way. And it's like, who makes the best move at the deadline? And it felt like everyone was just sitting there like, who's going to make the first move, man? Like, who's going to do it? Everyone's looking around. And then, boom, the Pistons do it, and they get Kevin Herter. And then all of a sudden, Vucevic from the Bulls are obviously selling. The Bulls trade Vucevic to the Celtics. And then, boom, the James Harden goes to the Cavs. And you're like, okay, now all of a sudden in the East, you made the third worst trade. And now you're like, okay.
That's how they're sizing it up. Yeah.
Yeah. And now if they use Jaden, and my only problem with this is if they use Jaden Ivey in a deal for Kevin Herter when they could have used him in a deal for a Michael Porter Jr. Or I'll throw another name in there, a Colby White, different guys like that. Like if you could have went out and got someone who could score and play make and actually.
I think they could have gotten him White, but they said no because they wanted.
I would have gotten him.
They said they wanted because that goes back to the fit thing. Is like, he probably.
How does he not fit though? He's a shooter. He is a playmaker. You say you need a secondary guy who can score. Kobe White does that. He averages 20 a game.
Yeah, but he's not. Kevin Herter is a better fit because he can catch and shoot. I don't know because by the way, Minnesota. I think Chicago offered Minnesota Kobe White. And he said they were like, we're good. We don't. We want the.
I saw.
And he has a contract. I think his contract too. You have to think about.
I did see a tweet that said Kobe White and AU from the Bulls will be on the move in the next 4 to 8 hours.
Yeah, so they're being
so
shopped.
The Pistons could have had an opportunity at either one. I bet.
Yeah, which again, you need star power to win championships. It's been the tale of this time. On top of playing defense. On top of, good coaching, like a lot of things matter, right? But the reality is, man, like they don't have enough right now. Star power. They don't. And Cade is an incredible player and Duran's an all-star, but they need more star power. It's a star-driven league. So I'm going to stand pat. I'm not going to grade the deadline with 2 days left. I'm not going to do it. You got to give them more time. I'm not going to overreact and say that, the trade deadline's over. Trajan Langdon sucks. So far, I think Ivey's value is exactly what the league just dictated.
100%.
And I think this happens with a lot of fan bases where you're going to see more value in your players than the league does. That's always been the case. Okay, this happens across all sports in Detroit. We look at Lions players in different ways. I know some players, fans criticize and rightfully so, but like Jaden Ivey. We love him. We did. We love him. We love the guy. We root for the guy. We saw what he did 2 years ago before the injury. Or last
you were setting yourself up for failure if you thought Jaden Ivey was going to get multiple first or a big time player.
Or like he was going to be the piece to get you Giannis or go to the piece. He's not. He's not going to do that. And we were wrong if we even indicated that. So clearly, I don't believe in God. You can people come at me because I've defended Troy Weaver, which is fine.
You are a Troy Weaver stan. And by the way, Troy,
defended him with the draft picks. I mean, he wasn't the best GM, but I tried to, he was actually technically Ivy was a Troy Weaver draft pick as well. But I'm not going to sit here and crap on Trajan Langdon. Like he didn't call the league for weeks and shop Ivy. Like if you guys really believe he shopped for weeks with Ivy, shopped Ivy for weeks, and this is like one of the worst deals he had on the table and he took it. You're just uninformed.
I think this was the best deal he probably could have had. I don't think there was a market out there for Jaden Ivey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's the reality.
And well, by the way, Troy Weaver, I'll say it every time his name gets brought up. I'm happy he's gone. The man was addicted. He was a crack addict when it came in. I don't know if am I allowed to say that. I'm allowed to say that. But he was a crack addict when it came to lottery picks. He loved the lottery. He was addicted to the lottery.
Yeah, he was a bad GM. He was.
He goes to the Pelicans. You know what he does? He goes, "Hey, we're out of the lottery right now. I want to get back in it. I need my
He's addicted to rebuilds."
Yeah. Oh, he loves rebuilds. And as soon as the Pelicans start to get a little good again, guess what? He's going to leave and go somewhere else, and he's going to go to another rebuild. It's his life, dude.
He went to the Wizards, and then he went to the Pelicans.
He loves rebuilding things. Yeah. You get into building houses or something.
And maybe, I know I already saw people in the chat throwing out that theory, like Troy Weaver with the Pelicans is no way he helps the Pistons. There might be, I don't know about all that. Maybe Trey Murphy you're not going to get, but I don't know. We'll see. It's tough, man. Like,
well, hey, maybe let's call a spade a spade. Joe Dumars wants to help the Pistons, no?
Well, the way his exit was, I don't know.
Fair enough.
He got a lot of shit from fans, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, he did bring a championship to the city.
Darko is a tough one to.
But I do think when fans go at GM, I think typically it's fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he brought a championship. I mean,
he did, but like just because you brought one, you can't, like eventually it's either you got to keep doing it or you. But if that doesn't absolve you of all. It's like the thing with Brad Holmes, where like people are like, well, look what he did the first 3 years. It's like, dude, you don't get absolved of everything just because you had a couple sweet years. It's just not how it works. I had a couple sweet years in school. I had like a 3.0.
Well,
a couple sweet years, dude. I still failed a year.
Updating your resume. Yeah, I agree with you. You gotta update your resume, man.
Yeah, 3.0 was good for me too, by the way. That was a high on for Boone.
Well, we'll talk more. We're gonna get some guests on to break it down. Some Pistons beat writers on this week, so especially for the deadline because that's Thursday. So we'll talk more about it later. I do want to get to the mock draft before Flannel joins. That we're going to get to yesterday. ESPN's first and second round mock draft for the Detroit Lions and who they had them taking. All right, so let's get to it. They picked 17, and this is Matt Miller. Which shout out Matt Miller. I've been trying to get him on the show. He's one of the guys at ESPN who does the draft. He does mock drafts and everything. So he's a pretty smart guy. He had the Lions, they picked 17 and they picked 50. So these are the two picks they had for the Detroit Lions at those two spots, and we're going to react to it. So at 17, the Lions select defensive end Keldrick Falk out of Auburn, who is he's a massive human being. He's 6'6", 285. But Matt Miller writes, frequent readers of mock drafts know that the Lions are projected to use high picks on a pass rushing defensive lineman to draw attention. Oh, here we go again, Boone.
Yes.
They've resisted that urge in recent drafts, picking run-stopping defensive tackle Tyreek in the first round last year. But this could be the time for the Lions to finally add a defensive end with the talent to draw attention from both interior linemen and offensive tackles. Falk has the versatility to play inside or outside. We've heard that one before. At 6'6", 285, and the power he generates would keep offensive lines honest. His 2 sacks last season were a disappointment after a 7-sack campaign in 2024. But Falk has fans around the league who see him as an ideal hybrid defensive lineman. So I did a lot of research on Keldrick Falk, and because I didn't really know much about him. I've heard his name.
Last year? Is he last year's? Can I just, before you go into yours,
I know what you're going to say.
Is he last year's Nick Scorton? Or not Nick Scorton because he went second round. Who's the other Texas A&M guy that just
Shamar Stewart?
Is he last year's Shamar Stewart?
So the difference between the two is Shamar Stewart never produced. Keldrick Falk produced a year ago. He didn't produce this past season.
Is that still a little?
That is something. It's fair.
Alarming.
We're in a production-based business, so I understand that. This is the tweet I found that I thought was interesting. Again, I'm just trying to learn more about the player. This tweet reads, Keldrick Falk had 80 tackles, 14.5 tackle for losses, 8 sacks before he turned 20. SEC ball. 6'6", 285, will be one of the youngest players in the class. 700-pound squat, 415-pound bench before he turned 20. Early breakout, production traits, versatility. he is a very good run stopper and pass rusher, and he just didn't get the sacks this year, which again, I'm not going to argue. If you're looking at it like, production didn't have it this year, fine. He had 7 sacks the year prior, dominated at Auburn in the SEC against SEC tackles. He didn't do it as much this year. And, getting sacks, he was still like obviously playing well. He just didn't get sacks. I guess the question I have for the Chad and for you is we're back to the edge thing at 17. And I will get to who was available in a second, unless you wanted me to show you now. Because I know the tackle thing is what we talk about. Should they take a tackle?
Yeah.
Tackle at 17.
Before we do the second, can I give a thought on this?
Yeah, because I was going to say Keldrick Falk to me, like I'm a little intrigued. I'm a little intrigued by him. Not going to lie to you.
I'm intrigued. This is where I'm at. I saw a tweet today. I cannot remember. It might have been Mina Kimes. Let me pull up this Mina Kimes tweet real quick, because this actually made me think a little bit when it comes to these first rounds, Jeff. And I think there's a world where there are some of these guys like this who are intriguing in the first round. Are these guys unanimous first round? Is he a unanimous first round pick where you're like, that's a first round talent, Jeff?
I think he is.
Like, no matter, like, you're like, that's a top 20 talent base. Because to me, production-wise, no, it's not. Like, you could be like, measurements, yes, 2 years ago he had a good year. Maybe, and maybe the production, there was something with it. But, like, even last year, everyone's like, well, Shamar Stewart is a first-round talent. He is. And it's like a guaranteed where if I put out, Jeff, 100 NFL draft experts, would all 100 hit me back and say, Booner, that's a top 20 talent in this draft? Would all 100 do that?
So it depends. So let me answer that with this. If you're looking at, is he a top 20 talent? Yes.
Like a unanimous top 20 pick. In every mock draft, he's going to go top 20.
Maybe not. Okay, maybe not. If we're going.
Okay,
that,
so no. So don't overthink it, Jeff. I don't want you to overthink it, because this tweet's going to.
Okay. Go on.
Well, I'm going to say this tweet's going to. The reason I'm saying I don't overthink it is because this tweet with Mina Kimes today, I think, is perfectly set of being like, yeah, he could be top 20. I think that's fair to say, like you said, the talent. But Mina Kimes tweeted this out today. Seattle's first round picks, right? From 2018 to 2021. Penny, Collier, Brooks, and then obviously they traded with the Jamal Adams trade. In 22 to 2025, Cross, Witherspoon, JSN, Murphy, Zabel. She said obviously selected well, but also what they stopped doing was taking non-consensus, or however you say that word, first rounders. Which that today, when I read that, it kind of hit me a little bit like, that's kind of like the Tyreek one, right? That's kind of like what you do with Tyreek. And I don't know if this edge is an automatic lock to be a first round talent or not. Again, dude, I'm going to say this throughout this whole draft process. I don't want Brad to get cute and get a guy who had 2 sacks, and maybe the measurements are there. I don't want him to get cute and get a guy like Tyreek, who it's like, man, he could be something really nice, or a Terrion where he's like, oh man, I want this. This is what Brad would. What the Seahawks did from 22 to 25 is what Brad did the first 3 years, in his drafts. He went Jahmyr Gibbs, just consensus first rounder running back. People are like, this guy's gonna be a dog. Jack Campbell, but you could argue he was the number 1 linebacker in that draft class, and everyone said if there was a linebacker to go in the first round, it is this kid. And he was like, I'm doing it. And I get what you're saying, but like J-Mo was going to be a top 5 pick if he didn't get hurt in the national championship game. And he's like, give me J-Mo, best player on the board, consensus first rounder. And I think there's going to be guys better on here at the time at 17 than Keldrick Falk. There's going to be offensive linemen that are better than Keldrick Falk. Like, in just my opinion, I do. And I think like it's easy to fall in love with these guys because you see the measurements. And I mean, what was really cool about measurements is like Giovanni Manu was like an insanely measured, very, very good. And guess what he's doing now for you? Nothing.
But it's not. So
I want measurements and I want productivity. I want both. I'm tired of being like, well, this guy 3 years ago was so good, put all the stats up, struggled. Well, why did he struggle last year? Let me ask you that.
I don't know if he necessarily struggled. I just don't think he had the 7 sacks he had the year prior. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
So essentially, you draft a guy like that, and you're like, well, maybe we'll get the 7-sack year out of him, but then the next year we're going to get a 2-sack year out of it. I don't want that. Not with the first round pick. I don't want inconsistency with the first round pick. I want someone who's going to come in and be an absolute dog with the first round pick, man. I don't want a guy who there's a chance where he can dip down to 2.
Yeah, no, I
that's just me. This tweet today, I think it was perfect timing. With that, I apologize for going on that rant, but I just thought when I read that today and then you brought that up, it was just in my mind, it clicked. Like, I want a consensus first rounder, a guy who's going to be a dog, and we know he's going to be a dog, and we don't have to be like, well, he struggled last year.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm not going to argue. I mean, he's widely considered a top 20, but the production isn't there. So this year, so I understand if there's like skepticism. I'm not going to fight for him like that, but I like him. I just don't know if, like you said, a top 20, are you going to, I mean, you're like even TJ Parker, like TJ Parker had the production a year ago, dipped off a little this year, but he had like 11 sacks at Clemson in 2024. So that's another guy that might not be the, he might fall a little bit though, because he doesn't have, I don't think, the measurements in the physical gifts. But anyway, I want to show you. That's a guy
that you could get a steal on, if like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I just feel like a guy like him or even Kedrick, like those are two guys where it's like, hey, if they end up falling in the second round, that's when you attack and get them. Like that's a snag. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. Those are steals in the draft. Those are what you call the Brian Branches of the draft.
Now, I want to show you the next pick. I think this is worse, way worse, at 50. So and I'll show you who went after. So at 17, Keldrick Falk, edge out of Auburn. You got Emmanuel McNeil Warren, safety. And then you have I don't even know how to say his name, the guard out of Penn State. So you have some guards going. TJ Parker.
20th, yeah, there it is.
He goes to the Dallas Cowboys. Caleb Banks. I'm out on Caleb Banks. That's another guy with the projection. Let me see. There's offensive lineman. Who is it? Right here. Caleb Lomu, 27. So he was there. They passed on him. Blake Miller, offensive tackle. He's there. Monroe Freeling. People like him. He's there. And then you get to like the second round. Okay, we'll get past all of these guys. Caden Proctor fell.
Caden Proctor all the way to 35, man. Wow.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So he fell to 35 in this one. Akeem Mesidor, your guy that we mentioned, 36 in the second. So that's interesting. People are talking about him as
That was the one that I said in the second round. People were drafting him at 17. I was like, dude, I think he could get to the second round because of his age, and that makes sense.
So you get to 50.
Wait, go up real quick? Who was that? LT Overton edge. It's a good edge.
And then you get to 50, and then you have Max Ianchador. Max Ianchor. Ianchor. I think I say his name. But he's the Arizona. By the way, this guy's story is project. I'm gonna be real. Okay, this is the one where I had a problem with. At 50, this is where I would blow a gasket. He's a right tackle, played at Arizona State, played really well at the Senior Bowl, looked really good at the Senior Bowl, and here's his story. This is what Tom McShay said. He was a soccer player, basketball player from Nigeria, came over to the States, went and played football late in his life. I think he was like a junior in high school or something. Played at like a JUCO, went to Arizona State, and then played pretty well at right tackle. So he's only been playing football for a couple of years. That's what I mean. Like this to me would be like you're taking a project.
Yeah, I'm out on it. Can you go just a little down too, even with that? Like, I don't want to. Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I'm out on the projects. I would just be like who else is available at that pick when you're up?
That's a guard out of Oregon. Let's see. I don't really know. Like Logan Jones. Honestly, like if Jake Slaughter goes here soon, I'll be upset. Logan Jones too. Like I would love him. Jacob Rodriguez to the Rams at 61. Let me see.
Elijah Surratt.
Yeah, I know that's it.
Yeah. So yeah.
So Jake
I don't
Slaughter
hate the tackle. Listen, I don't hate the two positions. First round going edge, second round going tackle. I don't necessarily hate that, but I am with you. I'm not familiar with him and that whole. But if you have to be like, hey, like, can he slot in right away? Is the big question. And I think when you draft a tackle in the first 2 rounds this year, you have to make sure that player is, has potential to be able to play right away, depending on what Taylor Decker does. Because if Taylor Decker, does what Frank Ragnow did last year, Jeff, then you're in a really weird spot to where it's like, and Brad gets a tackle, but he's like, they're like, the tackle's not ready or he's not good enough. Then you're just in a really, really weird spot to where Brad kind of missed again offensive line wise. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And now you're just a really tough spot. So you don't have time to develop. If that's a developmental player, you don't have time for it.
You don't, especially at tackle. We'll see what happens with Taylor Decker. But if you have to slot him in right away, man, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. I want to bring this up before we get Flannel on. It's a great thing to talk about. Kirby Joseph's future. Dr. David Chow, who served as by the way, just to give his background, served as the head team doctor in the National Football League for a total of 17 years. Current head of Sports Injury Central spoke to the Detroit Free Press on Radio Row at the Super Bowl, discussing his opinions regarding the prognosis of several Lions players, including Joseph. Dr. Chow was made aware the former third-round pick was considering non-surgical treatments for his knee, including the possibility of stem cell treatments. When this treatment was discussed, Dr. Chow gave an alarming opinion regarding the 25-year-old's long-term prognosis. It was acknowledged Dr. Chow has not reviewed any of Joseph's medical charts, which obviously is a big deal. But he says here, this one's a little dicey. Here, once again, rooting for him. But articular cartilage is the holy grail. If you could reproduce or regrow articular cartilage, you would win the Nobel Prize. Okay, it is the holy grail. It's the tread on your tires. You can't just get retreads or put new tires on it. How do you replace the rubber on your tires? That's the articular cartilage. Poor vasculature. Very difficult. Veteran Jadeveon Clowney was a comparison used in the defensive end, underwent microfracture knee surgery. It says here, very early in his career, Jadeveon Clowney had a microfracture surgery that is for full thickness cartilage loss in an isolated area. I said that can be career altering. He's outproduced expectations. Look at his longevity, but that's also why he's never gotten a long-term deal, because everyone's worried about the knee. Ooh, that's tough. It says here, Dr. Chow commented more. He said, Kirby Joseph, I don't know the extent of the knee, but when you're starting to talk about stem cells, that means you're beyond even microfracture. Look, Hail Marys get completed. Stem cells can help, but it's not one first down and then you get to kneel down and win the game. It's not that. It's very dicey. I wish him the best, but this is not good news for a young player and not good news for the Detroit Lions. Look, if you can get some time out of him over the next year or two, couple of years, I think that'd be a victory. Dr. Chow commented further, to say that he's going to fulfill his contract and get another one is a Hail Mary, and I hope I'm wrong.
This might be.
Wow. Here's the clip too.
Fully. Yeah. I mean, we could put this might be fully. I know it's not an official diagnosis.
Scary.
It's not an official diagnosis because he's not the team doctor, but he's been a team doctor, a head team doctor.
It's like a
for
theory.
17 years.
Yeah.
But he's been a team doctor for 17 years in the NFL. He's obviously ran across something like this, and if you're a doctor, you obviously understand what indifferent. It's not. It doesn't feel like it's the best of news. I would say, theory.
No, it's not, and this worries me tremendously. Like, put aside the contract. Okay, if that's the case, that's tough. But like this, if this is the case, this is terrible for Kirby Joseph personally. Like that's brutal, dude. Like,
take away, if that's real.
Yeah, that's terrible for. I don't know. Like Jadeveon Clowney obviously had a terrible knee injury coming into the draft. But I don't know what Kirby Joseph's knee injury looks like compared to Jadeveon Clowney. But obviously, Dr. Chow is well versed in like stem cell treatment and stuff like that. And I would like to know he knows more than I do, clearly. So I'm going to just lean on the side of Dr. Chow here and say this is not good. That's why you look at the safety room going into next year. It's worrying. It's very worrying, man. I mean, if I'm being fully transparent, it's very worrying. You got Brian Branch coming off an Achilles, probably going to miss half the year. I don't know the exact, but he's going to miss time. And you don't even know if he'll ever look the same. And then you have Kirby Joseph, who is dealing with a knee injury that could potentially not allow him to return to form.
Yeah.
Like, there's a chance.
I would say,
likely, but there's a chance the best of these two are behind them. Your best safety duo, it's behind them.
Which was heartbreaking, one for the players, but also for the team. Jeff, step further, like next year, like you just signed Kirby Joseph to one of the biggest safety contracts in NFL history, and you only got a couple games out of him in year one of that contract. Now there's these questions about what, and this is something too. And there's people in the chat like Xavier D being like, this is clickbait. Stem cell can give cartilage back. Like, listen, Dr. Chow bringing this up and this actually being an issue, I don't think is clickbait. I think it's something serious to look at. Like, I think if you're thinking it's clickbait, it's one of those moments where you're like, I don't want to believe this is true, so I'm going to think that it's not, and I'm going to let's take a step back 6 months, Jeff. Do you remember the reports coming out of Allen Park with Kirby? And we love Kirby, his agent. We love all those great people. But the reports coming out of Allen Park, Jeff, was obviously like Kirby kept trying to play, could not play. Remember, they brought him back to practice, practiced one day, just wasn't at practice the next day. People see him in the locker room, and it gets reported that he's noticeably not happy and was not in a good mood multiple times and frustrated, and there's a lot of issues going on. And they obviously said as well, they don't know if, like, it was reported that they already reported that they don't know if surgery can fix it. Like, that was something that was put out there.
Yeah.
So, like, what Dr. Chow is saying, like, he's taking the info of like, hey, you can't fix it with surgery. You can't do this. This is what and taking the facts of what's been reported. And you could tell too, like on the back end, like Kirby was, you just don't see a player with an injury, like a minor injury with the knee. It's like, hey, you can be back. You don't see that frustration. Yeah, for a year, but like you've never seen that from Kirby, man. And Kirby's been hurt before. So I think I'm not going to say there's not something to it, but I think there's something to where you do have to, this has to be aware. And I wonder, the one thing that I do wonder, and Brad did address it and people did ask him and he didn't really give a full answer. I wonder if they knew that there was something with the cartilage or the knee back when the contract was done, because someone brought it up. It might have been Birchfield. Someone brought it up and said, hey, like when you do sign a big deal like that, you have to do a full physical. And that's not just like running up and down the field. That's like checking everything out on the body, making sure that there's no tears, there's nothing. And someone obviously in that physical missed and didn't see, either one missed and didn't see that there was a cartilage issue and this was going on, or two, didn't do the due diligence to check. So I think there's an issue either way with it, because I feel like this isn't something that just spawns out of nowhere in week 3 and they're like, oh no, it's a cartilage issue. This feels like this is a cartilage issue, is something that leads up. You know what I mean? Like, hey, starting to get some pain, What's going on?
Yeah.
So I'd be interested.
They could have
avoided.
Yeah.
And even if they were about to sign a deal, like do their due diligence to see if this is something long term, and then you can't do a deal. So, yeah.
Let me play his comments. Maybe we can get more clarity just hearing the doctor speak. Let's just 2 minutes. So we'll listen to him.
You know, he said he's going to pursue non-surgical treatments this offseason, stem cell therapy. We'll see what else is out there. But, you know, the Lions signed him to a big deal last year. Obviously, they were counting on him to be an important part of the secondary. Now, I guess the question is what percentage Kirby Joseph we may see next year, and how much of that contract can Lions fans expect to see him live out?
This one's a little dicier, Dave, a little dicier. And once again, rooting for him. But cartilage, articular cartilage, is the holy grail. If you could reproduce or regrow articular cartilage, you win the Nobel Prize. Okay, it is the holy grail.
Let's put AI on that.
Okay, and it's the tread on your tires. You can't just get retreads or put new tires on. How do you replace the rubber on your tires? That's the articular cartilage.
Yeah.
Poor vasculature, very difficult. I'll give you one comp, not the same comp. Very early in his career, Jadeveon Clowney had a microfracture surgery. That is for full thickness cartilage loss in an isolated area. And I said, ooh, that can be career altering. He's outproduced expectations. Look at his longevity. But that's also why he's never gotten a long-term deal, because everyone's always worried about that knee. Kirby Joseph, I don't know the extent of his knee, but when you're starting to talk about stem cells, that means you're beyond even microfracture. And Hail Marys get completed, game-winning drives in 30 seconds get completed. Stem cells can help, but it's not, one first down and you get kneel downs to win the game. It's not that. It's not. It's very dicey. And so I wish him the best, but this is not good news for a young player, not good news for the Detroit Lions. Look, if you can get some time out of him over the next year or two, couple of years, I think that would be a victory. To say that he's going to fulfill this contract and get another one is a Hail Mary.
That's insane. We'll see. Again, he's not Kirby's doctor, but he's giving great insight as someone who's been an NFL team doctor for a long time. So without obviously the medicals. So it's not like it's the end all be all, but it's something interesting to kind of look for reference. Let's bring on our guest here, Flannel Sam, to chop it up and talk some ball. We'll talk some Pistons. We'll go through his mock draft. We'll talk about the Kirby Joseph injury. Before we do all
I'm interested in his thought on that.
Got to hear from our friends over at Sleeper. We'll see you in a minute. I've interrupted the show to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper, and specifically Sleeper Picks. And I have my picks for the Super Bowl, which is on Sunday. Seahawks, Patriots, squaring off. And I have 4 picks for you guys that you guys can tail on Sleeper, or you can go with your own. But the ones I'm going with more on Stephon Diggs' receiving yards, most experienced wide receiver they have, and he's the best. And I think that Drake May is going to lean on him in a massive game. Travion Henderson more on his rushing yards. It's a player that's been electric this year, the rookie out of Ohio State. Give me more on his rushing yards, more on Sam Darnold's rushing yards. 6.5? That's 1 scramble or 2. But I like Sam Darnold to at least try and scramble in this game. It's the biggest game of the year. You have to. JSN, I'm going to go less on his 94.5 receiving yards. It's a risky play, but I think New England's corners are just too good for him to go out and have 100-plus yards. So I'm going to go less than. I think he has a pretty good game, but I don't think he has a game like he had against the Los Angeles Rams. So those are my picks. You could tail them or choose your own. Sleeper, proud partner of Crunch Time Sports. Now let's get back to it. By the way, Super Bowl picks, we'll give those out Friday, but Super Bowl party is on Sunday, 6:30 p.m. We'll be at Dog and Pony Show Brewing. It's going to be a blast. The Crunch Time fellows will be there.
Do you have the graphic for it? You want to throw it up?
I do.
Like a full commercial break here. We can also even, we could even do our commercial for our mock draft Monday.
Yeah, we have mock draft Monday on Monday, which
we got
will be me and Booner will be showcasing our first mock draft of the year. We're patient, but it'll be a ton of fun. But you see it here, watch party live at Dog and Pony Show Brewing to watch the Seahawks take on the Patriots. Come hang out with the fellas, have some beer. The address is at the bottom there of the poster, but you can just look up Dog and Pony Show Brewing and put it into your maps. Sunday, come watch the show, come watch the game, hang out with the fellas. And
I've considered wearing a Patriots outfit, a full Patriots.
I know 2 Lions fans that are Patriots fans all of a sudden.
Who's that?
Barber Spencer and Derek. Shout out Derek. He's Iman's brother.
Okay. You said Derek like I knew Derek. I was like, who's Derek? I was like,
you have 2 people that I know that are Lions fans that are Patriots fans. I don't know how that works. I'm finding out that that's a thing. But let's bring on the guest, the man of the hour. He helps out with Crunch Time Sports. Very, very bright guy. He's our good friend, former co-host of the Morning Woodward Show and Wake Up Woodward, and he jumps on our show, and he's on Saturday mornings with Crunch Time, Mr. Sam Flannel. Flannel Sam, however you want to pronounce it. How you doing, Flannel?
You know, there's a lot going on today. I'll just say that. A lot of breaking news. Obviously, the Jaden Ivey, Kevin Huerter trade. What Dr. David Chow just mentioned about Kirby Joseph. A lot to digest, and it's just happened so recently. That's what's that's what's great about you guys' time slot. A lot of times, you guys are one of the first people to talk about everything, and that's awesome.
Flannel, there's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
There is. And I guess we'll start Pistons then because we have a lot of stuff. We want to get to your mock. We'll talk Kirby. We'll talk a lot of other things. But today there was a trade for the Detroit Pistons. Jaden Ivey was traded to the Bulls in a multi-team deal involving the Timberwolves, Bulls, and Pistons. Pistons get a pick swap with the Timberwolves, so they'll swap the first-round picks there. Pistons get Kevin Huerter, Dario Saric, and the Bulls get Jaden Ivey. And I think Mike Conley as well.
Yeah.
So your thoughts on the trade? Me and Booner are kind of in lockstep. I think this, to me, Flannel told me and should indicate to Pistons fans what Ivey's value was. And I'm a big Ivey guy. I mean, I have been. Shout out Easy. We went back and forth for a while about whether or not he could fit on this team currently. And I think the injury just kind of ruined things for him. Not that he can't be a good player. I just think him being out and the Pistons winning games and him watching from the sideline, and then all of a sudden he's got to be thrusted into the lineup and try and find a spot. He just couldn't find his fit here. Doesn't mean he can't have success elsewhere. He just hasn't really quite looked like the same player. And when you see a report that the Pistons or Trajan Langdon's been calling for weeks, Flannel, shopping Jaden Ivey, and they make a deal today, it's hard for me and Booner to believe that Trajan just heard all these great offers, and then he just decided to take the one today. Where are you at with the Ivey trade? Because I think it's hilarious, Flannel, that Pistons fans, they don't like the guy, or I'm not speaking for all Pistons fans, but there's Pistons fans that don't like the guy, and then he gets traded. Everyone's mad they didn't get a big return back on him. I don't get it.
So this trade does indicate that Jaden Ivey didn't have that much trade value, and I can see why. But I can also see why that despite him not having the trade value that a lot of fans maybe perceived he had, that he was somebody that the Pistons were okay with moving. Because Jaden Ivey, man, I know a lot of people in Detroit are fans of his and are distraught right now, but here's the reality. He's never really developed into being the guy that he was drafted to be. Even before the injury, he never developed into as good of a ball handler as he needed to be. He never developed into as good of a creator for himself and others as he needed to be. He didn't finish as well at the rim consistently as he needed to in order to have a future on this team. I'm not saying he never did any of those things, but not to the level that the expectations indicated. And then it just seems like, and I know it's still relatively early in the process, that the injury zapped a lot of what made him even effective. And this year he was relegated to a guy who has only started 2 games, is averaging less than 17 minutes a game, and is basically a spot up 3-point shooter. And shout out to him. His percentage is actually really good this year, and he's done that relatively effectively, but he's not needed on this team. And a power stat involving Jaden Ivey, and don't get me wrong, there's some context that might be missing, but I just want to throw it out there. Last year, even when Jaden Ivey was putting up his career best numbers, the Pistons were 14-16 with him in the lineup, 30-22 without him in the lineup. And then this year, all Jaden Ivey has contributed was, as I said, 2 starts, 33 games on less than 17 minutes per game. How many of the wins this year has Ivey really greatly impacted? Not many, which makes him 100% expendable. But yeah, I do think a lot of people had been seeing mock trades involving Jaden Ivey, in which he was part of packages that were landing, Trey Murphy and Michael Porter Jr. And some people are just like, oh, the prize is Kevin Huerter. Not great. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't say what I think about Kevin Huerter. It's just Jaden Ivey didn't have a lot of value, and he was not really valuable to the Pistons either towards the end.
Yeah, Flannel, do you think that that Trajan ends up making another trade here, or you think this thing's over with? And let's say it is over with. Do you think that they can win a championship and contend with what they now have with no Jaden Ivey and adding Kevin Huerter?
I don't think they can win a championship as currently constructed. But what makes me nervous is I don't know if Trajan Langdon is going to make another move. I've seen mock trades, including one from Ethan Hutton from Sports Illustrated that had the Pistons, and this is just a mock trade from a Sports Illustrated guy. It's not the gospel, but I saw it and I wanted to share it with you guys, that had the Pistons acquiring Trey Murphy for Tobias Harris, 2 firsts and 2 seconds. That's still on the table. I think a potential trade for a couple of guys on the Bulls that I think could really help the Pistons, Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu. Those are trades where you have what it takes to get those guys, because those guys are expiring contracts. They're probably rentals. They're probably guys that you're not re-signing, but that also makes them cheaper, and they offer a set of skills which the Pistons don't really have right now, being that secondary ball handler, shot creator for themselves and others, along with being really high percentage shooters as well. Those are still on the table, and I think Trajan Langdon needs to make one of those moves or another move for another effective guy to really make the Pistons championship contenders. Because just because the Pistons are the number 1 seed in the East, which is amazing, by the way, and I love it. They got a superstar player. They've got one of the best defenses in the NBA. That is all awesome. Just because you're the number 1 seed does not mean that you're going to just go into the East and sweep your way to the finals. Because as you guys talked about earlier, there are teams in the East that can beat the Pistons come playoff time. You saw the Celtics just make that move for Nikola Vucevic, and maybe Tatum comes back. I don't know about that, but Jaylen Brown's playing the best ball of his career. He's playing like an MVP. You see the Cleveland Cavaliers add James Harden, which I understand James Harden is a career playoff choker, but still, him with Donovan Mitchell, who actually his numbers get better in the playoffs, that kind of makes them formidable. You look at the Miami Heat, who Eric Spoelstra has already taken 2 lesser teams to the finals in this decade. Even the Orlando Magic with Paolo being a playoff riser. The Knicks beat the Pistons in the playoffs last year. I'm not saying that to be like, oh, the Pistons can't win. I'm just saying that as Pistons fans, we need to have some respect and some perspective for the teams in the East that can beat the Pistons. It's not a foregone conclusion. I'm not saying they can't, but I would really like the Pistons to make another move in order for me to be confident in them making the finals this year.
Yeah, I think I think your point about them not quite being a championship contender when it comes to winning it, not making it, or winning a playoff series like they were supposed to. People wanted them to last year. I'm with you. I think star power wins in the NBA. We know that, and they probably need more of that. I know it's crazy to say they have 2 all-stars, but they do, man. Like the Thunder won last year, and they played team basketball, home-built team, and it worked out the way it worked out. But typically when you look at the larger sample size of the NBA and former champions, I mean, it's stars, man. Like you look at the Celtics, the Nuggets, the Warriors, Cleveland, and then you get to Toronto with Kawhi. Maybe you could have that type of situation, but that's an exception. Like typically Kawhi having the playoff run he had, it doesn't happen all the time. You can roll with that, but you just need more. And I wonder, like Michael Porter Jr. is out there, Flannel, and I really like Michael Porter Jr. I don't know what that would cost, but I'm with you on everything. I do want to get your thoughts on what we kind of talked about before you joined, the Kirby Joseph situation with that knee injury. Just looking at the future of the safety group here, Brian Branch, Achilles injury, Kirby Joseph, stem cell treatment on his knee. They don't really know if he'll be the same. At least the doctor gave his analysis. He doesn't obviously have a relationship with Kirby to know like some, important details, but just kind of gave his opinion. Are you concerned? And what do you think Brad should do to alleviate some of that concern for you and fans?
Well, I'm absolutely concerned. How could you not be concerned? Because even if you think what Dr. David Chow is saying is a bunch of crap, which I don't, by the way, but I see a little bit in the chat. Look at what happened last year. Look at Kirby Joseph missing the 11 games last year due to this injury, which was a little mysterious at the time, and it just never seemed to get better. That's not great. And also the Lions already paid him, which doesn't look like a great contract in hindsight, although I understand why they did that at the time. And also just what Kirby Joseph means to this defense. Kirby Joseph, for his entire Lions tenure, has put up historic interception numbers. 4 in his rookie year, 4 his second year, 9 in his breakout all-pro season, and then 3 in 6 games last year. That's something that you saw the Lions miss on last year's defense. And if Kirby Joseph has his career altered in any way, that leaves a question mark where you once thought, man, we're going to have this great ball hawking safety for the future, and that just spot is set right now. So absolutely I'm concerned. It's something now that I think the Lions must address in the draft and maybe even in free agency, which is something I would not have thought of just, 6 months ago.
Which do you prefer, Flannel? Like we've seen him draft both of these guys, and he essentially found the draft picks or the high level safeties through the draft. Do you prefer him just drafting another safety this year, or do you think that he needs to go out and spend some money in free agency and bring in a free agent safety?
Well, I do. A little spoiler alert: I do have the Lions drafting a safety in my mock draft, which I will present in a couple of minutes. I don't know if that's necessarily enough. I know a lot of people aren't going to like this, but I do think Thomas Harper outplayed his expectations a little bit last year and gave the Lions some good games, as did Avonte Maddox. I don't know if the Lions should make a big swing in free agency for a safety. I wouldn't hate it, but I think the draft and maybe re-signing Avonte and keeping Thomas Harper is how they're going to mitigate this. Not saying it's the perfect option, but having these horrible injuries happen to your safety also isn't perfect either. Shit happens and shit has to change because of it.
Yeah, Flannel, I'll pop your mock draft up here and we can react to it. So you decided to do a mock draft today. So
yes.
let me pop this up for you. All right, so you kind of break this down for me, Flannel. Here, and you can kind of walk the people and walk us through what you decided to do, why you decided to draft these players. Because I'm seeing some guys, I'm seeing a quarterback, I'm seeing a Michigan man, I'm seeing a safety. Explain your thought process on this, Flannel.
Yeah, so with my
come on now, Flannel, let's go.
Yeah, no. So with my first pick, I have the Lions selecting Caden Proctor, tackle from Alabama, and my thought process is, I like the fact that he was a left tackle in college. I could actually see Caden Proctor being a Decker replacement and then maybe keeping Penei at right tackle for the duration of his career and him maybe end up being the best right tackle who ever played NFL football. I think if you get a proven left tackle in there or somebody who was proven in college and who got better every year, who only allowed 2 sacks in his last year at Alabama, who has prodigious size, who's decent in run blocking as well, I think that that's the route that I would go for the Lions in terms of a first-round offensive lineman. At pick 50, I've got the Lions selecting Romello Height, edge rusher from Texas Tech. And Romello Height, he was very productive his last year, his only year at Texas Tech, 62 pressures, 10 sacks, a 21.8% pass rush win rate, which is insane. He had a great year playing on that really good defensive line opposite David Bailey, but hey, come to the Lions, play opposite Aiden Hutchinson, be that guy who can win one-on-ones and make plays opposite Aiden. This is the one where you keep in mind the Kirby situation. With pick 118, I have the Lions selecting Michael Taff, safety from Texas, which now is turning into maybe even more of a need with the whole Kirby Joseph situation. The majority of his snaps...
Is he the white guy?
He's
safety?
The white guy. He's the white guy. Yes.
Okay.
Hey, you're seeing white corners now too. Shout out Riley Moss and Cooper DeJean. So you can put white people in the defensive backfield now. But yeah, no, Michael Taff, his specialty is coverage. He had a really nice last couple of years at Texas after he really developed. Had a passer rating allowed when targeted of around 60 his last 2 years in college. Be improved as a run defender and as a tackler too, as in his last year at Texas. And if there's no Kirby, he could be the Kirby replacement, at least down the road. If Kirby and Brian Branch come back, you could also see Michael Taft be utilized in defenses where they use more nickel packages, which, as we all know, that's kind of where the NFL is going. And that's where the Lions maybe need to adjust, and Kelvin Shepard or someone else maybe needs to adjust the scheme. I could see defensive packages that have Branch at slot corner, Taft and Kirby as safeties, and then 2 corners.
Are you suggesting we just do a whole almost like an all-white safety room? Michael Taft and Dan Jackson. Is that what you're suggesting here?
Yeah.
I don't look at Dan Jackson as any part of the Lions.
It's like Will Compton's all-white NFL team last year that went viral.
Dan Jackson's irrelevant.
He might be back. He might be back. We never know. Come on, Flannel. Put some respect on the man's name.
Put some respect on Dan Jackson's name. Okay, then if you're saying that, you have no room to talk about my Michael Taft pick, because Michael Taft.
I like the Michael Taft pick.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad pick.
And then the rest of it, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't want to go into.
But you took a quarterback, Flannel.
Yeah, I took a quarterback. Just a lottery pick, as somebody who could be a little bit more mobile, as somebody who just with a Booner strategy, not a Goff replacement, but you're just
taking a swing
in case, like the Booner idea with more of the John Macaroon philosophy of getting somebody a little bit more mobile, who also showed he could pass a little bit, but it's a 5th round pick. One more pick that I want to talk about a little bit, because I don't want to go too long, is Logan Jones, man. I'll tell you what, with the draft that you put up before I came on, I was able to get Logan Jones at pick 187 on my PFF mock draft simulator. I think
PFF in their mock drafts, man. These guys fall so far sometimes.
I think but I don't think it's actually going to happen. But because it did, I obviously had to pick him.
You had to.
Yeah, had no choice. 4-year starter, somebody who I think could be potentially pro ready, although, obviously he has some athletic limitations that make him the pick that he is, but a proven pass blocker, only allowed 1 sack in the last 2 seasons combined. So yes, this is my plan to get the Lions, part of my plan to get the Lions back to Super Bowl contenders. What do you guys think?
I'll tell you this, Flannel.
Yeah.
Your first 2 picks, 3 picks, 4 picks, 5 picks, 6 picks. Position wise, I don't know. Listen, I'm not going to comment on the players. I really don't care. But just the positions you addressed, I love it. I think if you end your first 6 picks in this NFL draft, and you get a tackle, a safety, an edge, a quarterback, center, tight end, you get all those positions. Again, you can rearrange how you want. You're in a pretty good spot. I think you address those are positions you all need to get. Maybe you could argue a linebacker, but you'll probably address that in free agency, assuming. So, but yeah, I think you did a great job. And there's obviously names on here we've talked about. I think Proctor's he might be the most interesting prospect in the draft in the first round.
Yeah.
Because talent-wise, everything, he checks all the boxes. He should be a top 10 pick. But then there's this weird thing where it's like he's missing something. Maybe he's too big, he's too slow. I don't know.
The Caden Proctor you're talking about?
Yeah, he checks a lot of boxes to be that top drafted tackle, but he just is missing some of that lateral quickness because he's so big. I don't know.
I think you've seen, in my opinion, Flannel, I like the tackle pick. In my opinion, with Caden Proctor, the reason I'm out on him, I think there's a lot of tackles, you see a lot of the good tackles in the NFL aren't, I would say, always the Caden Proctor size. I feel like sometimes when there are guys that big, they're either they're injured a lot because they are so massive, right? They're going through injuries, or 2, like Jeff said, the lateral movement, maybe they're not at that high level. Where you look at some of the best in the game right now, Penei Sewell, he's really not even close to a Caden Proctor size, but he has the mobility, but he also has a good size for a tackle. I'm not saying I'm out on Caden Proctor if they drafted him, but he would be lower on my list. But I absolutely love going tackle in the first round. I said I don't want to see mock drafts that isn't a tackle, because I think that when we talk about BPA all the time, I think there are a lot of really good tackles in this draft to where no matter where you pick in the first round, there most likely is going to be an offensive tackle that's BPA on the board. Whether you trade back, you stay put, whatever you do, there's going to be a BPA tackle on the board there. And I love an edge. I need to go. And you know what, Flannel? I'm going to give your second round pick an A+. Romello Height. I'm not fully familiar with him. You gave the statistics that backed it, and it's an edge rusher, which I love. And I've also been very, very big in the last 2 weeks. I've been pushing out there, Flannel, that any Texas Tech player that wants to come play in Detroit, I will take every single one of them. Because every player so far out of Texas Tech has just been dominating at the Senior Bowl everywhere they've been. They had a heck of a season. And those are just dudes. It reminds me of, like, I'm not going to, obviously, Alabama for years, they were different level, but like you're just getting dudes out of Alabama. Like you got Brian Branch and some of the, it feels like this year Texas Tech just has a bunch of dudes, like where it's like you can get any Texas Tech player and they're going to be a dude. The safety one, Michael Taffy or Tafty, not sure how to yeah.
It's Taff. It's just Taff.
I like Tefe. But him, I'll tell you what, I need to learn more about him. So I don't hate the safety pick at all. Like I threw out there a safety in the fourth round, getting a Bud Clark out of TCU. I'm in love with Bud Clark. I think if he's available there, he reminds me of a Kirby. And after, especially what we just talked about with Kirby, getting a guy like a replacement, like a Bud Clark, to come in for Kirby, if Kirby somehow is out for a year or whatever happens, I think is good. But I love the quarter. You know me, I love the quarterback pick. I love the Logan Jones pick, Flannel. I think Logan Jones has the ability to be a long-time starter as a center in the NFL. And I don't mean, and I mean that, like, I'm not saying just because he's from Iowa, because we see a lot of dudes come out of Iowa and they're all great. But I legit think Logan Jones would be a heck of a steal in the 6th round. And I'm not going to say he could start right away, but if you bring him in and you go out and sign a vet center for a year or two, Logan Jones could be ready by year 2. And again, that's not a project type of player like a Giovanni Manu. He has the talent. He's played in the Big Ten, and he's a dude. So I like the Logan Jones ones. And I love Rayshawn Benny. So I'm not familiar with Brandon Cleveland either, so I don't want to fully, but I do like the interior bolster up that defensive line.
Yeah, the last 2 picks for me are just taking lottery, like a lottery ticket on a couple of interior defensive linemen who could maybe become a better Mekhi Wingo. Not saying that that's anything great, but with that late in the draft, you're not going to get a perfect prospect by any.
No, the 6th, 7th round, you're really not. I honestly, dude, Flannel, Logan Jones in the 6th round might be one of the biggest steals on this page here.
Which I don't think is going to happen, which kind of made me depressed to even pick this. But how could I not?
Yeah, if he's available, you have to. He's very good, dude. You saw the Iowa guys at the Senior Bowl absolutely dominating all week last week. Every single one of the Iowa guys. I think there was 3 offensive linemen there this last week. Logan Jones just kept getting highlights getting thrown out there, and he looked good too. All these guys did.
The Iowa O-line, I really think, is going to perform well this class of Iowa O-linemen. And as you said, Booner, the Texas Tech defense with like David Bailey and Romello Height and Jacob Rodriguez, their defensive tackles, I agree with you. Just a lot. Iowa and Texas Tech in the trenches, I think, is going to be something special moving forward in the NFL coming from this draft.
I could be wrong. I don't know if Logan Jones – I don't know if Logan Jones participated in the Senior Bowl, or maybe he was working at guard. There was 2 offensive linemen from Iowa. One obviously Jennings Dunker, who was working at tackle and guard, and then there was another one. I thought it was Logan Jones. I could be wrong with that. So
they have a guard prospect. I
will take a step back with that, but still, I love Logan Jones.
Yeah, his name escapes me, but it's probably another guy and not Logan Jones.
Yeah, I'm a big Jake Slaughter guy.
Yeah.
Jake Slaughter.
I heard you talking about Jake Slaughter, and I listened to you guys when with regards to Tanner Koziol, and you guys really made me check him out a little bit more. And when it comes to not the 4th round, the 5th round, taking a bit of a swing on a potential tight end you could put in 12 or 13 personnel, or even as a potential insurance for just in case they don't sign Sam Laporta, which I think they will, but you never know if they can. I'm going to take the guy who's a great pass catcher over the guy who's a great blocker. So that's why I like Tanner Koziol.
Flannel, I want to take a step back real quick, and I want to give you every apology that's possible in the world. I just broke your whole draft down, and I saw tight end. I didn't look at the name fully. I broke down Logan Jones, Michael Tefe, Romello Height. Yeah. I didn't even see that you had Tanner Koziol. I don't know how I just let that go over my head. That was like a guy a week or so ago that I came across, Flannel, and instantly I text everyone. I text our group chat. I text everyone and just watch this kid. And then he had to play at the Senior Bowl. Dude, he's 6'7", and for a tight end, he caught 90 passes one year as a tight end.
He did.
It's incredible. And I said it last week. It's a guy where, like, okay, he's not the best run blocker. You can teach that, but you can't teach talent when it comes to pass catching. Like, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
So if you have that and you have the talent to go out there and make 95 catches in a season, we can work on like Laporta. Again, people like Laporta was a good run blocker. He wasn't the best when he got here. After his rookie year, he came out and said, I need to work on run blocking. And he did it. And he became a really, 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 really good run blocker. So I love the Tanner Koziol. I don't know how to pronounce that either, but
They need to take. They're probably going to take a tight end. I mean, we all agree they're going to take one because, I mean, you saw this year that tight end room, man. Like, Sam goes down, it's Brock Wright or bust. I mean, you got nothing in there, man. The cupboards are bare.
Getting snaps, a lot of snaps. You don't want that.
Yeah, and Shane Zylstra, really? He had 3 touchdowns against the Carolina Panthers a couple years ago.
Shane Zylstra.
He hasn't done a damn thing since. So
No.
they need a tight end. I would agree. And even Sam Laporta's contract. I don't know. Which I kind of wanted to ask you about that, Flannel, too, because we talked about that yesterday of all the guys that need to extend. I think that's one of the conversations we've had. It's hard to believe they can get it all done, right? Like, they can get all these guys done, but ESPN came out with an article and they gave out their projections for every one of these guys and what they're going to make. Like Jameer, Jack, Brian, Sam. What was it, Boone? Like 17 to 20 per year for every guy? I mean,
yeah, it was like basically essentially another 200 million. It felt like 150 to 200 million with these guys.
There's no way, Flannel, right? There's no way.
Ridiculous.
You don't think so, but with the cap going up, who the F knows? And maybe the Lions just don't sign high-priced free agents ever or make high-priced trade acquisitions ever, which I wouldn't put past them, by the way, just for the record. But, man, it's really hard to say who's the most expendable because, I mean, Brian Branch, you worry about him coming back from the Achilles, but if Kirby's never right again, you really need Brian Branch, right? You have no choice. And you really need Jack Campbell moving forward, especially if Alex Anzalone.
He's the guaranteed guy to me, Jack. I mean, he's book him. Everyone else we can debate, but Jack,
you hope that Tanner Koziol becomes something, and then Sam Laporta becomes the one that they can let walk. Because I'm looking at Jahmyr Gibbs, even though I understand that some people in this town, aka Mike Valeni, have this never pay running backs philosophy, and I don't hate that, by the way, but Jahmyr Gibbs,
I might agree with that, actually, to be honest.
No, and Jeff Iafrate as well, Jeff Iafrate and Mike Valeni, but you wonder, is Jahmyr Gibbs too special of a talent to not pay, especially if you're losing Monty and you're counting on like a budget free agent signing or a draft pick? I don't necessarily know, but as of right now, it's got to be Gibbs or Laporta who are going to be the ones that it's got to be one of them who they can't keep if they have to not extend someone. And at least
Brian Branch is in that conversation coming off an Achilles.
Well, it's because what if Kirby's never the same? That's why I mentioned it. Because Branch on surface makes the most sense because of the injury concern.
But don't you think though, Flannel? Like if you already have Kirby Joseph locked into a $25 million, $24 million a year thing, and you end up losing him on injury, and during that contract, and then you're like, all right, well, let's put another $25 million into a safety. So now we're essentially paying almost $50 million a year on a safety. What if Brian Branch isn't fully recovered? Like, I feel like at some point you get to be like, all right, we have to get cheaper at safety because both of our guys have injuries. We can't pay a guy. We just paid a guy 25 and now he's injured. You know what I'm saying? You're essentially taking a risk on two safeties for over $50 million that both have significant injuries. It feels like that's huge.
It sounds like a you're boned either way situation.
Yeah, like in my opinion, I would rather just move on from Brian Branch and maybe even franchise tag him or let him play out his deal, franchise tag him and try and draft another safety or two, or even get someone cheaper in free agency and roll with that, instead of paying two guys $50+ million when you got to pay all these other dudes. Like it feels like
do you guys know if Kirby's contract is backloaded or front loaded? Do you know?
I can look right now for you.
That's
I think it's back. My guess.
Question.
My guess is the way Brad Holmes has done most of these deals is almost all of them have been backloaded. It's backloaded. It's like extremely backloaded. Like when I say extreme, I'm not exaggerating extremely. He signed a 4-year, $86 million deal, boys. In 2025, it was a $3.8 million cap hit. Next year, it's only 5.4. So put that into perspective. It's 21.5 a year. It's at $5 million cap hit next year. 2027, it's only a $9 million cap hit. 2028, it's a $13 million cap. We haven't even hit 20 million. At 2029, year 4, it's a $17 or $18 million cap hit. And then for the next 4 years, so you essentially have this on your contract for 8 years. In 2030, it's a $13.5 million cap hit. 2031, $12 million, then $8 million, and then $4 million. And these are all void years, actually, I believe.
Yeah, no, the Kirby Joseph contract. So I'm kind of remembering it now. It was
you can have void years all the way through 2030.
Yeah,
that's.
Go look at his contract down there. Like you see all these void years and stuff. It might be one of the most like pretzeling. Like
shout
this
out
is
Mike
gonna.
Disner. He does all his
Yeah.
that. Showtime tape, by the way. It's Devin. By the way, shout out Devin. I still got your shirt you gave me back in the day at Woodward. Appreciate that.
Come on now.
Glad to see Flannel and the boys still at it. Brother from another mother. Proud of y'all, man. Riley Green sucks. LOL. Devin's funny.
Yeah, he did strike out a lot, but shout out to Devin the dog. And by the way, not to take it behind the curtain, is Sean Murphy's appearance being delayed because the Pistons are having trouble closing out the Nuggets and the game is still going on?
No, he was. No one could. We were trying to get a couple guys on today, and they just had the game. I totally forgot, so they couldn't join it all today. They're all down at LCA.
Oh, they're all at LCA. It is a big game. Yeah,
they're all down there.
I'll tell you what, Caleb Czarnik called me 10 minutes before tip-off, and he goes, Booner, can we do a Pistons bet together? And I said, yeah, let's do it. And we went on it on Pistons bet, and we talked about it. And I'm not throwing him under the bus. This is how it went down because we're one when it comes to betting. He goes, I love Tobias today. I love Tobias. And I go, okay, let's do Tobias. And he goes, 12 points for Tobias. Okay. I said, I like Cade Cunningham points assist. I like Jalen Duren points rebounds. And I love Asar PRA. So we build it. Tobias Harris ends with 11 points. Everything else hit. He shoots like 3 for 12 on the night.
Yeah. Speaking of the Pistons in Tobias Harris, and since there's no Sean Murphy or anybody, I want to talk about this with you guys as the Pistons is winding down. I think Tobias Harris, the Pistons have to move him. I think he has to be a part of a trade package for one reason and one reason only. He's an expiring contract. And I think for teams wanting to dump salary and rebuild and get more of a war chest with picks, that's the piece that the Pistons could use along with picks to get Trey Murphy or Michael Porter Jr.
Yep.
Has to be Tobias.
Well, this is where I'm at with it. I think he needs to be I would trade Tobias if it means I get a piece like that. I think where I disagree, and this is where I understand completely the expiring contract conversation where you have to trade these guys. But if you're in a situation where you can't get a big name, I wouldn't have an issue just keeping Tobias. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at your starting lineup, besides Duncan Robinson, he's the only dude that can hit a spot up 3. I mean, I know he had a bad shooting night, but like I wouldn't just dump him for like, oh, we just got to dump him for something because he's going to leave. I would rather keep him for a playoff run, honestly, and get nothing. If it means I don't get an upgrade to what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't dump him to dump him. That's what I've said before, and I still believe that. I would rather have Tobias, unless you can get a guy like you're saying, where you have to match a salary and upgrade.
Well, that's a great point, and something that we can agree on. And that's not what I meant to say. That
No,
just,
I want to clarify that because I think that's we agree on that.
But he would have to be included in a if you were to take a big swing, like Michael Porter Jr. or a Trey Murphy. But a couple of other more, I wouldn't even say in the margins. I think this would be impact. In addition to Kevin Huerter, would be somebody like a couple guys on the Bulls who are on expiring contracts, unless they've already been traded while I've been on, which I haven't heard anything yet. What about Kobe White or Ayo Dosunmu?
Flannel, I brought this up about an hour ago. I said Kobe White. Jeff said he doesn't think he's a fit, which I think instead of Huerter, I think you could have gone Kobe White and it would have made more of an impact, in my opinion.
Well, I understand that. Go ahead.
It's not necessarily that I don't think he's like a fit because he can shoot the ball. Did you see the report that the Bulls were trying to trade him, and he probably could have been in that trade deal that the Pistons got for Ivy, but he wasn't traded. I think they offered him to the Timberwolves and they didn't want him. And I think the reason why, and I want to make sure I'm looking at this, he's in the final season of his contract, so he is an unrestricted free agent. I don't know what it is then. I really don't. I think they could have gotten Kobe White. I really don't know why.
You actually think so?
Yeah, because the Bulls are trying to trade him right now. So I
wonder why they didn't choose him then over Kevin Huerter.
They were going to give him to the Timberwolves, like straight up, give him to the Timberwolves, and the Timberwolves were like, no, we want the cap space for Giannis. Because he has like 13.
Well, yeah, that does make sense. I don't know if it's because of Kobe. I don't know.
No. I'm not saying the Timberwolves said no because of Kobe White. I'm saying why didn't the Pistons? If he's he's an 18 point per game guy, I mean, you know what I'm saying there has to be a reason. I don't know.
Maybe it's more so because Kobe. I guess you could say maybe he wants ball in hand.
That's probably where I was going. Like
maybe that's the argument, but I would like that.
He's a high volume shot taker, low efficiency shooter, but he can score. He can score, and he doesn't really play defense. So I don't know the fit. That's what I meant by that. I like Kobe White. But yeah, I think the Pistons could have gotten him. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. I think they could have if they really wanted to.
But the other guy that I was talking about, Ayo Dosunmu, I'll tell you what, if you want like an underrated move that could be rivaling some of the other seemingly more bigger moves in the NBA, Ayo Dosunmu for this year, even if you don't re-sign him, he's really, really cheap. And he's a guy who's averaging about 15, 3-3, is shooting the lights out, is a really good secondary ball handler, creator, secondary scorer, what we all want. And I'll tell you what, Ayo Dosunmu, which differs a bit from Kobe White, he was born to be a Piston. He's more gritty and hard-nosed and plays defense and was a second-round pick who kind of had to grind his way into the Bulls rotation and is now becoming a guy that honestly the Bulls might sign to a long-term contract. He might not even be available. I think to the Bulls, Kobe White is way more expendable than Ayo Dosunmu. But hey, if you're the Pistons and you want to give away what you think might be a little bit too much in terms of picks, Ayo Dosunmu might actually help the Bulls get to the promised land in addition to what they already got with Kevin Huerter. I like him better than Kobe White personally.
By the way, drop your questions through a mailbag. We'll do a mailbag before we get Flannel out of here. But yeah, I'm curious. We were talking about it earlier. If some of these guys get flipped again, you would hope so. I mean, you would hope that Trajan. I don't know where you are, like giving up first round picks. I listen. The
get rid of them all.
Yeah, I mean,
let them go. They mean nothing when you're picking back half.
Yeah.
They're so valuable to teams like Brooklyn or New Orleans who aren't going anywhere, despite the spectacular play from Michael Porter Jr. and Trey Murphy to create that war chest to either pick guys, make more draft picks, which you know that those are a bit of a crapshoot, but still a lot of those work out, especially if they're high draft picks, or build that war chest to trade picks when you're ready to acquire a star. Draft picks are They are, man, that is prime real estate there.
You do see though, like the Jazz today, like the Jazz made that trade today. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Jaren Jackson Jr. Yeah.
Yeah, just to me it made no sense, and they gave up a bunch of first round picks for
They
it.
have so many too. The Jazz.
They do, but they're giving up some for Jaren Jackson. But I mean, I guess maybe they're looking to build around a guy like Jaren Jackson. I don't know. I was actually I questioned that trade a little bit because they have 15 wins. It's not like they're competing for anything. And you would think whoever Jaren Jackson goes to, like a contender's like, hey, we'll make that move. That just seems like more so of a long-term deal for the Jazz. Like, hey, we want to have
keeping. It's like the Markkanen thing. Like they're probably just trying to build. They got Markkanen over there. They got the other guy they drafted to replace Donovan Mitchell. I forgot, like George, the guard. But and then they got Walker Kessler. I think that was one of their moves, Booner, where they're probably thinking like he's the piece that we can probably start winning games. But they have 16 wins. Like, so I don't know. I mean, they still have work to do, but they do have a lot of first round picks. They are good for teams if you want to make trades. Like if you want to make a bunch of trades, like the Thunder, by the way, the Thunder just won the championship and they have like a treasure chest of first round picks.
They do. Yeah. I mean, actually a lot of teams in the NBA right now who have in the next couple of years have like 15 first round picks. It's like the Grizzlies. They've just added more. Yeah. They already have some. They could still trade John Morant and add more, and they're sitting there with like 20 first round picks. And it takes time when you get those picks. It takes a lot of time. My bad. We could do Mailbag, by the way.
Yeah,
I know.
Yesterday
we skipped it.
You guys can follow Flannel at Flannel Sam on X.
Appreciate you, Flannel.
We'll talk to you next week.
Yep. Yes, sir. Thank you.
There you go, Flannel Sam. Bringing. Great conversation.
Flannel's a legend, dude. I love getting his opinion on stuff. It's the best.
He's the man. Mr. Jiggles, what position would you – what a name, by the way. What position would you like to see the Pistons trade for? Very simple.
I wouldn't even say a position fully. I would just say another playmaker. I think that's fair to say.
I'll give you a position. Give me a forward. Give me a forward shot-making, shot-creating bucket who can shoot the ball. Like I just described like Kevin Durant, but you get what I'm saying. Like Michael Porter. Yeah, but I want him at the forward spot. I think they need it there.
Hey, shout out Duncan Robinson tonight. 6 for 9 from 3, 20 points. Bounce back.
Shout out, man. J Hart, Mailbag. Somebody get Kirby in touch with Lonzo Ball's surgeon.
No, J Hart.
No, because Lonzo Ball had like he had like multiple surgeries on that knee, I think.
Yeah, no, Lonzo Ball just kept getting hurt, and he still's getting hurt to this day. Knee, ankle, everything.
Yeah, that is Xavier Mailbags. He said Sam. That was a question for Sam. Well, we're answering it. Sorry, Sam. What is your dream Pistons deadline trade? I'll keep it simple. Give me Giannis. Are you kidding me? I mean, every first-round pick until I die for Giannis.
Realistic or dreams isn't not realistic, right?
Yeah.
Because
how about we do dream and then realistic?
Like a dream one?
Yeah, give me Giannis. That's my dream.
Give me like Cade and Luka on the same team.
Wow, Luka.
Dream, right? It's someone that like you wouldn't think of.
Yeah, that's fair. Luka is insane. I'm not going to deny that.
Jokic and Cade on the same team.
Now that.
Oh my goodness, bro! You would win like 3 championships back to back.
Kevin Durant. Actually, I just described Kevin Durant earlier. Let me give you Kevin Durant.
No.
What?
He doesn't win. He needs Steph to win. He's gone places that has good players, and he still doesn't win. He's not a winner.
Kevin Durant. If Kevin Durant could be here, you'd say no because he's not a winner.
Yeah, he goes to these places that has all these good players, or they build a team, they do this, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, look at this team. Oh my gosh, they put him with Devin Booker. Oh, they lost and they missed the playoffs after Devin Booker went to the finals. Oh, why did that happen? I don't know. A lot more there than just
but
that's because that's what it takes to get a Kevin Durant. I want a guy like if you're going to make a trade for a guy at that level where you have to give everything up. Give me, if I'm giving everything up for a guy, a dream trade, give me Jokic.
I cannot believe what I'm hearing.
I'm not dude. KD went to the Nets and they traded it and got like 7 All-Stars.
Like Mr. Jiggles said, he was a toe away. Remember that?
Oh, so Mr. Jiggles, did he make it?
He
Jiggle,
made
jiggle.
the
No, he
shot
didn't.
to go there, and it was toe
Jiggle,
was on
jiggle,
the
jiggle,
line.
jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. He didn't make it. Didn't make it. Who made it over him? Giannis.
He
Jiggle, jiggle.
he made the shot, and it was the toe was on.
KD
the line.
doesn't win without Steph, man. It's a fact.
He won Finals MVP there.
Oh, that's fine. But he again,
took it
has he
over in
won
the
without
finals.
Steph? Has he won without the Warriors? None. Nowhere. He went to the finals, lost without Steph. Then ended up joining Steph, went to the finals, won.
And dominated and was their best player.
That's fine. He can win finals MVP, but he can't do it without, like, he's only done it with one organization and specific players that know how to win. Those guys know how, those are winners. He needs winners. He doesn't have winners. He's not a winner. He's an all-time, if not the greatest scorer of all time and shot maker of all time. I will give him that. But I will stand constantly on the fact that Kevin Durant is not a winner.
Well, you brought up Michael Porter Jr. earlier. He's a winner, but he wasn't the biggest reason they won.
Michael, you're right now. No, we're not doing this. You're comparing Michael Porter Jr. to KD.
No, I'm not comparing, but you're saying, well, Michael Porter Jr. won. You said he won a championship earlier.
He did, but this is his first year outside of Denver. KD was outside of Golden State for like 7 years before Golden State and like 5. Yeah, did he win it?
Oh my God. Booner,
And that's my point. He just doesn't win it.
10 years
Dude, me and you have had this argument a million times in our group chats, and I you know where I stand on this. And I've even conceded with the Steph Curry stuff, where me and you have gone back and forth about who's the best player on that team. I've conceded to you and said KD. I will take a step back and admit that. But I need you to at least concede and be like, yeah, he just hasn't been able to win without those.
He's not a player that has single-handedly won championships.
He can't. And like
that would
there are guys who can go around, and if they went to different teams, they would, like Jokic won a championship with the Nuggets. I wouldn't be like, Jokic could go to a different team and still win a championship. He doesn't need whatever he will do. KD, he had James Harden, Russell Westbrook. They lost in the finals. Then he goes to the Warriors where they've already won a championship.
He averaged like 30 in that finals, I think.
Did they win? My point is, you have to know how to win. You have to know how to win.
I know,
just because you score a lot of points doesn't mean you know how to win. It means you know how to score. There's a difference between knowing how to win, and knowing how to win and not.
No, I understand.
Dak Prescott averages like 400 yards per game. But has he ever won a thing? No, he hasn't.
One of the greatest greatest of all time.
If you look at yards per game, he might be up there actually, yards per game wise. That man throws for like 400 a game.
Is not KD when it comes.
He puts a million yards. I'm not saying he's KD, but he puts a million yards up. Like your point is being like, well, he put a lot of points up.
Chokes in the playoffs. KD
James. Why hasn't he won then more if he doesn't choke? It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Oh, okay.
Like, dude, like you're being like James Harden averaged 36 points per game with the Rockets.
No, like James Harden choked in the playoffs multiple times.
But he chokes.
He chokes.
He average, but he scores a lot, but they lose.
No,
he has scored a lot in the playoffs.
No, he's went fourth quarters. Look up. Remember the Houston Rockets versus the Warriors Western Conference Finals? Remember that series?
Yeah, unbelievable.
He choked in that series. He's choked.
Hold on. I want to look up his postseason stats.
KD choked.
I mean, he averaged. I mean, there was one year James Harden averaged. Hold on, there was one year James Harden averaged 32 points per game in the playoffs and played in 11 games.
Okay,
with the Western Conference Finals.
Season averages.
Let's see if KD has ever averaged 20 points or 30 plus points per game without Steph Curry.
Well, I'll say with Steph. I don't know how it is with that team because they were stacked. But look at his shooting percentages and everything.
He shot 40% from 3. Pretty decent.
Pretty good. I mean, the guy's a bucket. Dude.
I'm just saying, he played in the playoffs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years before going to the Golden State. Didn't win a thing. Went to 2 finals with the Thunder. Could not win it. Shot 28% from 3. 1.7 out of 6.1 threes in 2015-16 with the Thunder. Shot 28% from 3. Went to the finals and I'm just saying, and lost in the finals. I'm just saying, like you're talking about James Harden choking. KD shot his final year in Oklahoma City. He shot 28% from 3, lost in the finals. Then is like, man, I can't win here by myself. Like, I'm just not a winner. I'm gonna go join a bunch of winners. Goes and joins winners. wins two championships, and then is like, you know what? I want to go play by myself and do this again.
So
Goes to Brooklyn.
Would you rather have Kawhi Leonard because he's a winner or Kevin Durant?
Kawhi Leonard in his prime?
No, like right now because they've won.
Oh, Kevin Durant right now.
But Kawhi won though.
Yeah, but like Kawhi at his prime, he knew how to play winning basketball.
Okay. I understand.
That's a fact. There's a difference between scoring and winning basketball.
My point, KD would be, if he was on this Pistons team, he would just be perfect. I mean,
I don't know. I don't think we would win a championship.
You're that quote. Someone quote that.
I don't think. Listen, dude. I've been on record. I don't think KD will ever win a championship without Steph Curry and that crew.
So, do you think Kevin Durant on the Pistons right now they wouldn't win a championship?
No, because
KD. I want that to be.
I think they could win without. I think they could win without KD. Add KD.
They could win with.
I think it would just make it bad luck. I think there's just something with it, just bad luck. I think it's just like bad wuju or whatever you call it.
Oh yeah, bad.
I mean, look what happened when we went to the Nets, dude. He had all these players, and they folded. It was just like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And then they go to the Suns. Literally went to the Suns.
He's not an alpha like leader. I get what you're saying.
He's an alpha scorer. Like, dude, the Suns is such a prime example where it was just like they just go off the finals, and everyone's like, if you add KD, you're gonna win a championship. Oh my gosh! And then they add KD, and then they don't make the playoffs one of the years. Like, it was just like, what?
The team was injury riddled that year.
It was, but that's the point. You're understanding my point is when you do add KD, you have to go cheaper deals around, and then you get guys that aren't as good, and you lose some of the role players you have. And then you have to add Bradley Beal because you need to find you have to stretch and find something, and then he's injured. And then you get rid of Mikal Bridges, and you get rid of all these guys who were like helped you get to the finals, and then it's like, oh well, we just ruined it because we wanted KD. How did that work out?
I do think the Pistons would not win with KD, but win without him is like Iguodala.
Obviously, it's a joke.
No, yeah, but I'm saying like if you were serious about that would be Max Kellerman give me Iguodala type of take
for sure. But it's a joke. It's a funny bit.
No, it is funny. It's a funny bit. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with the DLC.
I'll stand on it.
Until then. We'll catch you then. Peace.
Love you guys.